Hey, what's going on, guys? Today, let's find out if OP is or is not the asshole. Let's go. Am I the asshole? We started eating Thanksgiving dinner without my sister. 1 p.m. We warn her guests will arrive at 7 and to please get ready and be out of her room. 1 to 7 p.m. We send sporadic reminders, knock on her door, reminder she has X amount of hours left, constant checking in. 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Guests arrive, she is nowhere to be seen, everyone is busy doing something, cooking, setting the table, socializing. Still, we send reminders, people are here, eating soon, dinner is almost ready, dinner is on the table now, people are at the table now, we are eating, she is not answering or otherwise communicating with us. 8:24 p.m. Exact timestamp from a photo I took, we start eating. 10 minutes later she comes down pissed we started without her. Nearly an hour and a half after we told her to be ready, and with constant reminders and warnings leading up to the dinner. So are we the assholes? Mind you, there were 11 people total, with 2 sides of family each seeing each other for the first time in years, plus a newborn baby who was mercifully asleep right when the food was coming out hot. Everything was chaotic and people were hungry. Edit, just because a few people were asking, she is 24. She's 24? Oh my god. Okay, I thought she was like 14 or 15 or something. Oh jeez. Oh man. No, okay, straight up, she was just being lazy. Like, I understand. Okay, like, she's 24. Does she live out of town and she's coming to visit for family and maybe this is her one time to just like unwind or something and sleep in for the first time in forever? Maybe. I mean, in my head, that's just the way I would kind of justify it. But at the same time, you got so many reminders from 1 p.m. all the way to 8:24 p.m. You had 8 hours of constant reminders and you still can't get up? No, you're not the asshole. Not the asshole. Sister is ridiculous. Yeah. Oh, this one sounds funny. Would I be the asshole if I told my therapist to stop eating during our sessions? I've been seeing a therapist and she is lovely. But the other day she did something that really puzzled me. Usually we have a cookie or tea during our session, but that day she ate a seafood boil. What is it? What's a seafood boil? I never heard of that. Is that like literally the big trough bucket you get at like seafood restaurants? Maybe, I don't know. I don't eat a lot of seafood. If you're not familiar with seafood boil, it's a type of dish where seafood, example crab, shrimp, crawfish, are mixed with a thick, highly spiced sauce in a plastic bag. I like seafood boils, but I found the smell and cracking of shellfish to be extremely distracting during therapy. I would like to continue therapy with her, as she is really helpful, but I'm scared of confrontation. Would I be the asshole if I told her to stop eating messy food during our sessions? Well, that is kind of rude, yeah. You have like a concha or something, or like coffee, something that's real like conversation food that's not really hard and crunchy, that's not gonna make a lot of noise. Was this like maybe just the one time? Maybe it was just like a one-off, like maybe she just really wanted seafood or something. I have no idea. And I don't think she really did it maliciously. It was probably just like a poor choice of food. Why don't you tell her like, hey, like the smell of seafood it makes me gag or something, or it's real distracting. I mean, honestly, just tell her. Just tell her like, stop eating seafood. Edit for clarification, thank you all for your input. I will be sure to ask her not to do this again in the future. I am seeing her for depression. This was an in-person session. I was really distracted because of the strong smell and because her hands were really messy. I felt extremely out of place and I thought it was bizarre that she was cracking crab legs and eating corn on the cob, a common item in seafood boils. While discussing my progress and thoughts, I mean, you kind of said it too, like, okay, the smell is very distracting, so just tell her that, like, hey, your food is very distracting. Just be honest, man. She's your therapist. She's gonna understand. She's not gonna tell you to like fuck off or anything. Like, she's there to help you. That's like a scene from Seinfeld. Honestly, it does sound like that. But no, man, just be honest. She's your therapist. She's there to help you. Am I overreacting to wife continuing to flush flushable wipes after asking her more than 5 times to stop? Flushable wipes are horrible for the house pipes and sewage systems. I have asked my wife multiple times not to flush them, but instead throw them in the trash. I have shown her video after video of clogged pipes from these. My house is old and I can't afford to have a sewage backup. Recently, I've noticed a smell in my basement area as well. Uh-oh. She agreed she wouldn't flush them, but then tonight I caught her flushing them and it turned into a major argument. Am I overreacting by yelling at her for continuing to do this? I feel like I always thought this was like common knowledge now. And I don't know why these companies still put flushable wipes on these things. Didn't everyone see those videos of like, I think they like go into the sewer and then they show like this huge like brick of like flushed up wipes, creating these huge blockades. And they were telling people, stop flushing flushable wipes. They don't actually break down. But anyways, no, you're not overreacting. You told her like, hey, this is an old house. Our pipes are ancient. Our sewer system is ancient. They can't handle flushable wipes. Stop fucking flushing them. No, not overreacting. I use flushable wipes all the time, but do not flush it. They are really not flushable. It's expensive to have your pipes fixed. Either she needs education or she just doesn't care. It sounds like she just doesn't care. Like it sounds like, oh, you know, you're not there when she flushes it, so she thinks she can get away with it. And yeah, it might not clog up and break down in that moment, but years down the line when it actually does break and then they bust open that pipe and they're gonna see all those wipes because they're not gonna break down. And at that point, the wife's gonna have a problem because the husband knows who did it. So are you overreacting? No, not at all. Am I the asshole for telling my sister she doesn't deserve her husband? I, 27 female, got into a huge fight with my sister, 30 female, last week. And honestly, I can't tell if it was out of line or not. My sister's been married to her husband, Mike, 32 male, for about 5 years. They also have a little boy who is 3. Mike is seriously one of the nicest and most hardworking people I've ever met. He works long hours to provide for the family, and on top of that, he still comes home, cleans the house, and takes care of their son. The problem is my sister doesn't seem to appreciate any of it. She doesn't work, she doesn't clean, and she barely spends time taking care of their kid. Most days she just lounges around watching TV or scrolling on her phone. It's not just the lack of effort, she constantly makes fun of Mike in front of other people, like at family gatherings or parties. She'll joke about how he's too uptight or can't sit still because he's always cleaning up or organizing. She acts like it's funny, but I can see how much it hurts him. He tries to laugh it off, but you can see it on his face. He is miserable. I think he stays for their son, but because he's the kind of guy who would never just walk away from his family. But it's obvious the situation is wearing him down. The breaking point came at a family dinner last weekend. We were all sitting around and Mike got up to clear the table after everyone had eaten. My sister made another one of her stupid jokes about how he can't sit still long enough to enjoy dinner. Everyone kind of chuckled, but I just snapped. I told her in front of everyone that she doesn't deserve Mike. I said she treats him like garbage while he does literally everything for her and her son. I said she should be ashamed of herself of how little she contributes and for constantly making fun of the men who work so hard to keep their family together. The room went dead silent. My sister's face went bright red, and she started screaming at me, calling me jealous and bitter, and saying I have no idea what I'm talking about because I'm not married. She stormed out, and my mom immediately started yelling at me for airing dirty laundry in front of the whole family. Afterwards, my younger brother quietly told me that he agreed with what I had said, but that I shouldn't have done it so publicly. Now my sister isn't speaking to me, and my mom thinks I owe her an apology, but I just can't shake the feeling that someone needed to stand up for Mike. I know I might have been harsh, and maybe I should have handled it differently, but I just couldn't sit there and watch her humiliate him again. So am I the asshole? I haven't read the comments yet, but I have a feeling that some people will say like, oh, you're in love with the husband, you're in love with Mike, you really want Mike for yourself. You know, you're just jealous because, you know, you see the good guy Mike is, and your sister is kind of terrible, you know, because you're seeing it from only one perspective. But in my opinion, from what this story sounds like, it's okay to care for somebody like this, but to tell like her that like she doesn't deserve her husband, like you don't know what their dynamic is. Maybe this is their dynamic. You know, a lot of couples show love in different ways, and they have jokes and inside jokes and whatnot, and they act certain ways. Like me and my wife, for example, like we pick on each other a lot, right? But that's just our that's our inside jokes, that's our whatever. And for like a third person like looking in our situation, it would seem like we kind of hate each other or we're just like picking on each other or something. They'll think something's up, but no, this is like our thing. This is how we communicate. This story is so short, and you know, we don't see exactly what's going on. We're just going by what you tell us. It seems like, okay, you guys don't live together, so you're not seeing like the full 24 hours. Like, and it sounds like I'm trying to justify the sister's actions, but like, I'm just the middleman here. I'm just trying to see exactly what it is going on. The way you wrote this story, it definitely sounds like she is the asshole. But then again, like I said, like, people have different dynamics. They have different ways they talk to each other. Some couples have playful banter that seems like bullying, but that's just their thing. Question, is this all based on what you see at your family gatherings? Or is Mike confiding in you? How do you know the inner workings of their family behind closed doors? Exactly, how does she know any of this? I honestly think you're just seeing like one side of their relationship. Like, unless you live with them 24/7, you don't know. And it would be kind of shitty of you to assume that he is just unhappy. And if he's not telling you straight to your face that he is unhappy and he wants to leave this relationship, you don't know. And what if I'm right? Like, what if this is just their playful banter, their dynamic, and now you just blew up in front of the whole family and just made it fucking awkward? More info is needed. We need some more stuff, because going by this, it sounds like, yes, you are just a jealous sister who could potentially be in love with Mike. That also is what it's coming across as. I think you're just kind of jumping the gun here and just assuming that Mike is, you know, in a horrible relationship and he wants to get out and he wants a divorce and this and that. But honestly, you just don't know. Am I the asshole for being mad at my family for not eating my partner's cooking? My mom, aunt, and cousin came to visit my partner and me while they were in town. It was the first time my partner was meeting my aunt, and he wanted to make a good impression. He woke up early and spent the morning preparing a delicious meal for everyone. When my family arrived, they immediately commented on how amazing the food smelled. I started making plates for everyone, but my cousin suddenly announced that he didn't want what was prepared and preferred Chinese food instead. My mom and aunt quickly agreed, saying Chinese sounded good to them too. What? I could see my partner was visibly upset. Oh, no. He had spent all morning planning and cooking this meal, only for my family to dismiss it because one person wanted something else. I understand everyone has the right to eat what they want, but why couldn't my cousin get Chinese food on his own while the rest of us enjoyed the meal that was prepared? Frustrated, I decided to serve plates to my partner and me and left the rest of them to figure out their own food situation. Eventually, they realized they weren't welcome to stay any longer and left. Am I the jerk for being upset with my family after giving them the cold shoulder, or am I overreacting? What the hell? What? They just walked into the house and they commented like, "Oh, that smells great. Like, what's for dinner?" And then all it took was your cousin to say, "Hey, you know what sounds good? Chinese food."
Chinese. Good choice.
And then everyone's in agreement. Like, what the? You just said. Okay, were they just putting on an act or something? Are they really that easily swayed? And do they not like have the sense to know that they're being like very disrespectful right now? Like, I'm thinking, like, did they not know that the boyfriend is the one who cooked it? Like, maybe they thought you cooked it, so maybe that was easier for them to be like, oh, we eat her cooking all the time. Let's get other food. But even at that, like, that would be a very shitty thing to do. Like, hey, I just prepared this meal for you guys. You walked in and, you know, complimented the smells and whatnot. And then you're like, oh, you know what? Forget that. Let's get Chinese food. Like, I don't understand. Okay, well, there's an edit here. Let's see if it clarifies some things. Eddie, for some context, my cousin is 22 years old and is on the autism spectrum. When I say he is reasonably well adjusted, I mean he holds down a job and usually doesn't lean on his mom for day-to-day living. 2, I am in a homosexual relationship and come from a somewhat open-minded African-American family. We are pro-gay, marriage, pro-choice, pro-trans, etc. Well, that doesn't really give me any more context for this situation. Also, what does you being gay have to do with anything? Regardless of that, like, this is just a rude thing to do. Not the asshole. On what planet does someone attend someone's home and not accept the food that has been prepared for them? Not only that, but then suggest they're getting a takeout meal. The amount of disrespect here shown is insane, and even more baffling that your mom and aunt joining in. Did it come to light after the comments of the cooking smelling amazing that it was your partner preparing the meal? Perhaps they have some kind of opinion on your partner? Either way, you're not the asshole, they are, and they should have left as soon as they were sorting themselves out for food. Yeah, I mean, that's what I was saying. Like, do they know that it was your partner the one cooking? Because maybe then they were like, okay, maybe I don't trust this guy's cooking. But at the same time, they said, oh, it smells amazing, whatever. I don't know, man. This sounds very messy. But either way, you're not the asshole. Your family is. I feel like we should have gotten more context in this edit, but we kind of didn't. So, based on what I read here, no, you are not the asshole. Am I the asshole for breaking up after my girlfriend suggested an open relationship? quick little input before I read the story. I've read a lot of these stories, and whenever somebody suggests an open relationship, 9 times out of 10, it usually means they already have somebody in mind that they just want to bang, and they want the open relationship as a loophole to do it without technically cheating. So, we'll see. I, 34 male, am 5'3", and have always been self-conscious about my height. I am aware that it holds me back in the dating market to some level. I have worked hard my entire life to prove myself, and now have a successful career, making more than enough to live comfortably. I have been dating my girlfriend, 26 female, for 2 years. She is stunning, charismatic, and confident. Everything I've always wanted in a partner, but never thought I'd actually have. Early on, I asked her what she saw in me, and her response was vague but sweet. Something about how I am kind and stable. It was enough for me to believe this was real. But recently, she suggested we try an open relationship. She said she wanted to explore freedom while staying committed emotionally. It hit me like a truck. I asked her if she wasn't happy with me or if I wasn't enough. She laughed nervously and said it wasn't about me, just that she feels too young to lock herself down. Okay. I tried to hold it together, but I couldn't. I started crying, which I never do, especially in front of her. I told her that it felt like I was just a placeholder, that maybe she was using me for financial security while looking for someone better. She looked shocked and said I was overreacting and being dramatic, that it wasn't about replacing me, just adding more to our dynamic. At that point, I told her if she wanted to explore, she could do it, but not while in a relationship with me. She looked stunned and started to argue, but I told her that I needed space and asked her to leave. She's been texting me saying I'm being unfair and making her feel bad about being honest about her needs. So am I the asshole? I'm considering breaking up. This hurts so much, genuinely. She is exactly what I said in the beginning. She already has someone in mind. She didn't say that to you because once you agree to this open relationship, how fast do you think she's going to actually find someone? I guarantee you within the first 2 weeks, or probably even less, she's going to have someone already lined up. Like, no joke, a lot of times when people suggest an open relationship, they already have somebody lined up. They want to explore. What'd she say? She wanted to add more to our dynamic, and she doesn't want to lock herself down. What are you talking about? Why are you even in a relationship if you don't see this going the distance? Like, I understand, like, people just want to date each other, and that's fine. They don't have marriage in mind. That's something like you should talk over with your partner in the beginning. Edit, I broke up with her over text. She was really mad and called me crying, but I was 100% sure, so I broke up with her regardless. Good on you, man. Good on you, and I would have done the exact same thing. When she suggested that open relationship, it was over. It was already over. Well, that's gonna do it for this episode of Reddit, Am I the Asshole? If you guys enjoy these stories, let me know y'all's thoughts and opinions down in the comments below, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Later.